The cheap comes out expensive. Oh, what do I mean by that? Well, let's just say when we started out, we were not on a shoestring budget. We were on a thread budget, like a micro thread budget. So we didn't buy top of the line anything if we didn't have to because it was too expensive. Most of our equipment was used when we first opened up. We had a used refrigerator, we had a used freezer, and we bought a whole bunch of used shelves and all kinds of stuff. The only thing that we bought brand new was our ovens and some quality mixers, which we thought were quality. We did not do our homework and realize that the companies not really been keeping up on their quality. And even though we bought commercial grade, it just didn't work very well. We killed like 4 of a certain brand of mixers the first 2 years we were open. And they were not cheap mixers, but because we didn't do our research and we didn't check, we ended up making a big mistake because we didn't go with more expensive equipment. So when you're making your decisions, you have to take into consideration that if you're trying to pinch a few pennies here, that you're going to spend more dollars over here. It just goes to reason. So let's first talk about if you're a home baker and you can't get the commercial equipment. And the reason why you can't get commercial equipment is because your power is not built the same in your house. So your fuse boxes are not built to hold such powerful forces that come out of our machines when you do a commercial machine. If you buy from like Webstrunt or even eBay, Amazon, something that says commercial and they deliver it to your house, you void the warranty. And not only do you void the warranty, but you won't get your money back for the warranty. I also highly suggest that you pay for a warranty on any and all equipment you get, regardless of how cheap it was, because things always seem to happen like the first 3 to 5 days after the warranty expires. Just the law of the land. So, that being said, when you are making your decisions, I understand that sometimes it's easier to be like, okay, I can spend $100 for these packages over here, or I could spend $300 on these packages over here. You gotta look at some of the things that are in there, like, do they seal really well? Are you gonna buy these packages and you're gonna put your stuff in and then they're gonna dry out? Or are they going to spill when people are carrying them? Or are they going to crack easily when you handle them? Are they going to look appealing? And those are questions that you need to be looking for. So you should also be checking other people's reviews when you're buying equipment. And don't just go with your neighborhood baker's suggestion on things, because they may be partial to it, but they may not be doing 9 dozen cookies every single week. They may be doing 9 dozen cookies in a month, and they may be doing things differently. They may not be doing 90 batches of bread every single day. You may be doing 90 batches of bread every day. So you have to judge apples to apples, not apples to oranges. When you compare what you want to what somebody else has, they can tell you, oh, this is the one I want. I see this in groups all the time. Which mixer should I get? The Bosch one or the KitchenAid? I'm like, oh, I can tell you which one I love better, but there's always going to be somebody else that will say that the one that I didn't love so much is better. So you have to go by, okay, how many batches of whatever it is you're making are you making? Are you making stuff every day? Are you making multiple things every day? Are you actually going to use what you buy? Because a lot of times we buy things and it just sits on the counter, or it gets shoved in a closet, gets shoved underneath here. I can't tell you how many times we bought a lot of stuff in the very beginning, and then like the first year when I decided to start rearranging my shop for better sourcing, was like, man, we bought this and we never even used it. How stupid was that? And why did we buy it? Because a customer said, I would really like you guys to offer this. But in order to offer that, we had to buy this gadget over here. Then we bought that gadget over there. And then we never had time to do it because we were so busy doing all these other things. Or when we did use it, if we bothered to use it at all, we used it once or twice and the item didn't sell because only that one person wanted it. So be careful, because the cheap will come out expensive. If you're just buying and buying and buying and buying things and you're not using them, you will be making an expensive purchase in the long run. You'll have all these things, all this room will be used and hogged up by things that you don't use. You will have wasted your precious money in the very beginning when you need it the most. So make wise decisions. Don't buy things because it's the latest and the greatest, because it may not be the latest and the greatest for you. You may not be doing that. If you're a donut maker, you probably don't want to be making a whole bunch of purchases of cookie cutters because they're really cute and they're awesome, and one day you might just do that with your donuts. Not likely, but just because you feel like you might use them is not a reason to buy something. Just like when you're buying your equipment, like your ovens, you have to look at a lot of things, such as, do we have to vent out the wall or can we go up the ceiling? In my case, we vented out the wall. And now if we wanted to do the same thing, the city has changed their policies and they're no longer letting people vent out the wall. And now you must vent out the ceiling, which is 4 times more expensive than venting out the wall. So you need to check before you do things, because the last thing you want to do is vent out the wall and then the city come in and say, oh, but you didn't get permission to do that and we need you to vent out the ceiling. So now you're going to have to patch that, you're going to pull that, and you're going to have to buy something to go up the ceiling, and those hoods are expensive, and to get them installed is even more expensive. So know what you're doing and price it all out and make sure that you're getting what needs to be done the right way, the right time. Now, buying used equipment can be a lifesaver given the right circumstances. Our supplies, I did say earlier that we bought a refrigerator and a freezer used. I don't know how old they were. I probably should have asked. But they lasted 6 years before we had to replace them. We repaired our freezer twice, and the refrigerator had never had to be repaired, but I just decided that I didn't want to take any chances. So now we have all new refrigerators, all new freezers, because I realized that it would be better for me to have something new, and then if it went down, I knew I had a few years before I had to think about that. But you also want to put some pennies away for those things as well, because it's not a question of if it happens, but when it happens. Oh, and there's little things that nobody really warns you about but will become expensive, like putting these little monitors in your refrigerators and your freezers so that if something goes wonky with them, they can alert you via email or text, and then you won't be wasting all the money and ingredients, because that's expensive too. No, that did not happen to me. It did happen to a couple of the restaurant owners around the corner from me, which is how I know about these cool little gadgets and why we now have them. So, we don't want to have expensive mistakes. We want to have all of our mistakes be as little priced as possible. So, do your homework, figure things out before you make these expenses, and make sure that you're buying what you need and you're looking at the long term. Like if you do a lot of smoothies or a lot of slushies, you're going to need an ice machine. Now you can do one on the countertop, which is okay, and they will last you about 1 year to 3 years depending on what you get. Or you can get one that goes underneath your sink. That might last you 5 or 6 years, depending on your budget. But you got to do your homework, read some of the reviews, And don't go with the cheapest one, because that's not likely going to be the best result. We had a couple of them on the countertop because we don't do a whole lot of ice stuff here. But that was in the beginning, and the first one only lasted about a year. Second one lasted 3 years, which only felt like a year. But then when I went back through, I was like, wow, that was actually a pretty good bargain for that. The next one, I got a little bigger because I wanted to make more ice, because we make more stuff now that requires ice. So of course we put more money forward because we don't have the space to do one under our sink. There's not a big space here. But we realized we're gonna have to fork over a little more money than we did the first 2 times. And we made a good deal. This one works amazing. This one works faster. This one makes bigger ice cubes. This one holds more ice cubes. This one costs more money, and it has a warranty on it, which we did opt to do the most extended warranty on it possible, which is another thing that I might say. If you have the choice between 1, 3, and 5-year warranties, pick the 5-year. It may seem like you're throwing away an extra couple $100, but if something happens and you haven't been able to get the money in your shop or your restaurant, you want to have that comfort of knowing if your machine goes down, you've got the ability to call somebody to come and get it fixed because it's under warranty. So, just saying, the cheap comes out expensive when you don't make the right decisions for the right reasons. So, I'll talk to you all later. Bye.